can you see this person's perspective,
Right.
but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Hi.
Hi there.
Okay, I'm on. There we are. There we are. That's the right layout. I go.
There you go. How you doing today?
I'm here.
Good deal.
See, there you go. I'm here. That's big old improvement over the past week. For those that don't know, I've had some issues, some pinched nerve in my back issues, and thank you to the Joint in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, who's helping me work through it. I ain't there yet, but we're getting there.
Getting there. That's right.
And that's what it's all about. And I said, for a lot of people, we've all been touched by the flu or some other form of sickness. The triple-demic is real. And and how are you feeling today, Teri?
I feel good. I had that, whatever that was that I got after Christmas, but it's still lingering a little bit. But other than that,
Well, we got some folks who are joining us. Michelle is with us, Michelle Henry, and Elizabeth is with us. Hello, hello, hello. You guys, if you want to join in, it's really easy. The people who are watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. People are watching right now. And so just tell us where you're watching, and we'd love to share you with everybody that you're here. And those that are not wanting to, you're just watching from home and you don't want to be acknowledged, that's cool too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The hardest part of doing our own work, doing our own self-care work, and it's not just self-care. It's literally the hard work of getting through. We had our wonderful event that we had on Saturday. It was so good, wasn't it?
So good. So good.
It occurred to me the hardest part of making a plan for getting better is the follow through. As I got my back worked on, Dr. Brandon Bailey, I give him a shout out. He says, this probably will take more than one time. He said, if I can get this out, he said, because our muscle memory wants to pull it back to where it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that as an allegory for life. When we've been in what you always call the uncomfortable, comfortable, our mental muscle memory tends to pull us back to the discomfort we've gotten used to.
Absolutely.
So following through and staying with a plan, especially when that plan is hard, when it stings a little, as you say, realizing our part, our role in it, Why is that? Why is it so difficult to stay on a path when we know that the ultimate goal of where we're going is good?
Sometimes it's acceptance. Sometimes it's that we are so familiar with the uncomfortable comfortable that we don't know. We know the uncomfortable comfortable is sustainable because we've sustained it a long time. We don't know if when we let go of that and move into something else, if we'll be successful at that and if we will sustain it. And it does take work. I tell folks often, it's not that it's so much hard work as it is making a decision to prioritize yourself. And then when people say, well, it's just so hard, it's so hard, I challenge them to look at what it is that they're saying is hard about it.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that's hard? Is it a schedule that's hard? Is it keeping healthier company that's hard? Is it nutritional stuff that's hard? Like, what is name it?
Mm-hmm.
Name it and look at it and give yourself opportunities to shift it.
Right. There are those places, let's say it's nutrition, and you are doing, and I'm not meaning just to lose weight. You're doing a new way of living. Mm-hmm. You've been diagnosed with something, which means you can't eat your favorite thing like you were eating it. You can't do something you were doing like you were doing it. Well, that first week, you see changes and it's good. The second week, you see the changes. Changes are keeping on, but all of a sudden you start craving that thing that you've given up. And by week 3, that's all you can think about. And I mean, it could be alcohol, it could be sugar, it could be carbs, it could be something that you're eating that you've given up. How do we keep on the plan to follow through when it's difficult in that way?
I think looking at there's difference. Excuse me. There's difference in something that is challenging to stay on the course with, and then also being very, very clear about how that I'll call it a drug of choice, because it doesn't matter what it is, just that numbing agent, getting very clear about how that benefits or hinders your overall well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of that is going to be from addictive mindset or addictive patterning, where, when I hear somebody say, I've given up pizza and man, I just love pizza, but I've given it up and I can't have it anymore. And I can't have pizza anymore. And I can't have pizza anymore. And I've given it up and I love it. I love it. And I'm like, what else do you love? What else? But when you stay hyper focused in a one track mind of what you're losing instead of looking at what you're gaining by making these shifts, you stay trapped. Consciously or unconsciously, you stay trapped. If you're looking at what you're losing rather than what you're gaining, rather than
that's powerful.
Then you're unconsciously or consciously keeping yourself trapped in that cycle.
Lisa is joining us. Hi, Lisa. Good to have you. Corinne is joining us. Yeah, this is so good. Yeah, this is one of those topics where you and Jackie's with us. Hey,
Jackie.
Elizabeth said it's like being grateful. If I focus on the negative, I'll never find gratitude.
Yeah, and that's true. And the thing about it is it's what our there's such a thing as the law of attraction. Like what we are focusing on, what our true belief system is what we will attract. So you have to be very clear. Like when I hear people say, well, I just want to be in a good, healthy relationship. And then I ask them, do you feel lovable? No. And I'm like, well, odds are you're not going to have a good, healthy relationship. You might attract someone who feels lovable, but if you're not reciprocating that back, then it's not going to be a good, healthy relationship.
I call it the close your eyes and squint. There for a long time, and I'm just be quite honest with you, if someone showed interest in me and would ask me out, I try to make them fit into the template that I needed them to be, because and even when they weren't, I said, well, if I close my eyes and squint, they're kind of cute. They're kind of okay. I can kind of overlook the fact that they're mean to the wait staff when they come to the table. I can kind of overlook the fact that they don't have they've never read a book and they can't have a conversation. I try to overlook the fact that they like one thing on television and I like another, and we don't have anything in common. I'll overlook that because opposites attract, right? The close your eyes and squint view of friendships, love interest, that is never going to work, because the things that you find annoying at first, and I'm going to quote my friend Bo Bradshaw and his father in a conversation, the things that drive you crazy at first will destroy you or the relationship years later.
Or the things that you love about that person at first will destroy it years later.
What do you mean by that?
Huh?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you can be attracted to someone who is caring and compassionate. And if your natural resting position is a little more negative or fear-based, it feels good to have that person that's caring and compassionate, because it's like, ooh, that's what I want. That's the kind of person I am. And so you start to be with that person and you love that. But then over time, if you're a negative based person, your negativity surfaces again. And then here they are, Susie Sunshine, and, giving everybody the benefit of the doubt. And it just grates on your nerves, you don't like it. It's like, why are you always just trying to make everybody like you? And it's like, I'm not trying to make everybody like me, just a positive person, So that thing that naturally you are attracted to in the beginning can also be the demise of it in the end, just because, somebody can say, oh, they're just so spontaneous. I love the fact that they're so spontaneous. And you get a few months, you get a few years, you get a few whatevers in on that. And suddenly the fact that, they come home from work and they go, hey, let's take a trip out here this weekend. And you're like, well, I can't do it this weekend. There's so much stuff going on. I got this, I got that. You never plan. You never just actually plan. And it's like, no, that's spontaneous. But you learn to not like that. Or you learn to not like the positive, or you learn to not like the compassionate, or, and then you're just miserable.
Yeah. You got to swim in the same river. You just got to swim in the same river. Sometimes even parallel rivers there's something that keeps you from ever connecting and being, paying attention. Elizabeth says, I used to do that, Devon. I won't squint for anyone or anything anymore. No, it's true.
Here's the thing. When you're squinting, your belief system in that is that you don't deserve the whole package. And you'll just take whatever's on sale that week.
I know. And that comes from, and I'll tell you, there are a lot of people. And for me, it's like the phrase, well, you're just so picky. Just give them a chance. You might like them. But when you know right up front that there is like nothing there, that you're not in the same stream, hell, you're not even the same county. You're not even the same world that they travel in. And you try to make that work. You can't back off and pretend long enough for that to work.
No, and it's that way with friendships as well. I know a lot of people that get in, that they will cluster into a group of friends because everybody just kind of hangs out together. And then when you're with that group of friends enough, you start going, well, I mean, I could kind of not be around this person and be okay, but a lot of times we force ourselves to stay. And why do we do that? Because we don't want to bust that bubble. But you don't have to compromise your own integrity, your own character, your own ethics, your own, you don't have to compromise that.
Suzanne is joining us, and Paul is joining us from the Netherlands today. Too much is always fault. Make it 50-50. Greetings from the Netherlands, Holland. I love that, Paul. It is 50-50. And we all get into these situations where, and sometimes I call it 100-100. We all go full force into who we are in a relationship, usually. And it's healthy to go full force, 100% who you are going into a relationship. If you hide something that you are, so someone else will like you, that's going to come out in one day, and it comes out in a very unhealthy way. I call it the crowbar principle. And you walk in and you have put up with a thing, and I can live with this. And finally you walk in and you say, take this crowbar and put it where the sun don't shine. And they're like, what? Nothing precipitated that. You just held it in. And then all of a sudden the crowbar principle comes out. It will come out in an unhealthy way, one or the other, you or them.
Right. And a healthy relationship, friendship, work environment, intimate relationship, family relationship is the understanding that it's not always 50-50. It's not always 100-100. Sometimes you're going to have a load where you're going to have a season where it's a 90-10 or an 80-20 or a 60-40 or a 70-30, but the one healthy in that is that it always, unequivocally, always levels back out. If you find yourself in a relationship where it's 90-10 and you're carrying the 90 and they're skating by on the 10, and there's a level of comfort in that makes you incredibly uncomfortable, that's a time to start assessing that relationship, friendship, workship, whatever it is.
Right. And Jamie joins us. Hi, sweetheart. It's so good to have you. So good to have you. Jamie is, she's always offers a lot and always is so kind to share what we do here. Follow through is a tough thing because we get into the point where, I mean, at the beginning of a new year, we get really excited. We buy I always say, we buy the treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
And about 3 to 4 weeks in, we start putting stuff on it. Not us, but we hang the, hey, well, this is going to dry really good. I'm going to hang this right here. And pretty soon our dirty clothes are on it. And pretty soon, did that used to be a treadmill?
It's about decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making a decision and trusting yourself, investing enough. And I'm not a fan of the word invest in yourself because so many therapists and coaches and counselors say that invest in yourself. And it's just like, it feels a little pretentious sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but making the commitment to yourself that, people will say all the time, well, it's just hard to make that decision. Is it really? Because if you are at a stoplight and the traffic signal turns red, is it hard to make the decision to stop? No, you stop. If you are, walking into your house and it's thundering and lightning, is it hard to make the decision to scurry in, or do you meander with a big metal pole in your hand? No, you make a decision, you act on it. So
Right.
You have to be willing to make a decision and act on those things that are important to you.
Amen.
And if it's the treadmill and you be real with yourself, I'm going to get a treadmill. Are you going to do it every day? Yes, I am. Are you sure you're going to do it every day? Well, I'm going to try to do it every day. Well, right there tells me you need a membership to Planet Fitness instead of investing in a treadmill in your house. Because sometimes getting out of your house and getting in with other people not only allows you to hold yourself accountable, but you also see other people doing what you're aspiring to do. If you want to write, put yourself around writers. If you want to sing, put yourself around singers. If you want to paint, put yourself around painters. If you want to paint, don't put yourself around people that complain and gripe all the time. You'll never get anywhere. Put yourself in the circle. In the reboot that we had this weekend, we had an amazing group of individuals, that were all, some stream of consciousness was the same. They're looking to expand in their life. They're looking to let go of things. And I'm not talking about, let go of it, but to really let go of it and to revisit that you have let go of it and to be proud of letting go of it. And then to start putting something in the place of that, not to mindlessly fill that void with just more crap, but to put the good stuff, the seeds that you're wanting to cultivate into whatever this future harvest is, start planting them, But if you're staying around people who talk about, I ain't got no money to buy no seeds, I ain't got the land to buy no seeds, I ain't got nothing but limestone in my yard, then you need to shift to people who are really excited about their garden. Otherwise, It's real easy to give yourself unconscious permission to stay stuck.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because the biggest culprit to destroying follow through is the inability to put yourself in a position where people are better than you. And what I mean by that, the fear or the jealousy that happens when you put yourself in a group of songwriters. I had a group of songwriters that I was working with, and they said, I don't know why you won't pitch my song, because my song's great. My song is better than any song that ever got written in Nashville. It's better than anything on the radio. It's whatever. So invited some of those very writers to Backstage Nashville that I do every week with Hall of Fame songwriters and people who are some of the most amazing crafters of song in the world. And at the end, I said, the reason I didn't pitch your song, because I saw the look that came across their face. I said, this is your competition. This is who is pitching songs along with you. And they're like, oh, okay. And I said, so this song that already has a title that's been written 2,500 times in this town, you're going to have to go back to the drawing board, write a better song, Write a title. It has, you know, but put yourself in the crowd of people who are better than you. And you know what happens when they're better than you? The resentment doesn't come. Iron sharpens iron. You become better. If you are with runners, go to people who are good teachers. Learn and educate yourself. Put yourself with better people. If you're going to play golf, play with people who you can learn something from. And all of a sudden your follow through becomes better, because every time you're with that group of people, there's someone who sharpens the iron. There's someone who helps you. And it really does make a difference. Don't let the inability to be the queen, the number one, the head honcho. If you can't be that in that group, don't let that stop you from being in the group. What is this group here to teach me? You know what I mean? Because I've watched people go, well, I can't be the best at this, so I'm never going to try. You're always bad at the thing that you try the first time.
Or what about if you don't need to be better and you're not bad, you don't have as much experience.
Exactly.
You know, you don't have, because the brain uses those things like, I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as, I need to be better than, and you know, I'll try and I can't, and you know, if only, and if you put yourself in the, if you continue to commit to using language that subconsciously trips you up and makes you stumble, then you will forever be okay with not excelling. You'll say you're not okay with it, but you won't ever really take those steps to get more experience to do it. You know,
Elizabeth says, I love being with others who want to live intentionally and proactively making choices for their lives. I love
right. You know, and that's not always, you know, that's not always the easiest thing to do, you know, but I tell you what is easy once you get used to it, once you get a taste of it, what's really easy and goes down like a spoonful of sugar is accountability. Accountability is really not a scary thing when you're comfortable with it. You know, and now I'm not talking about making yourself a martyr where everything is, I know, it's my fault. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about owning your light. We talked about in the workshop this weekend, you know, some people's lights are really, really bright and they allow people to put that bushel over it and try to smother it out. But if your light shines bright and you have things you are destined to do, the one thing that's going to happen, if you don't succumb to other people's limited thoughts and beliefs, your light will burn a hole in the top of that bushel. It will not be stopped. It will consume the bushel and it will keep on glowing. So, you know, this is not about a new year, new you and all that stuff. And not that there's anything wrong with that. If that's your jam, knock yourself out with it. But this is truly about new year, same you. And are you ready to level up to a 2.0 version of you? Not a better version, but a more experienced version, a more compassionate version, a more in touch with yourself version.
More knowledgeable version. Maybe there's something you need to learn. Corinne says, I get scared sometimes while I look at all I have to clean, pack, and throw away so I can move. I've said to myself, you can't. But then I try because I really want to move, and voila, I can.
You always can. Always can, you know.
We put ourselves in a situation of letting our fear ruin us. Another thing is we sabotage ourselves with our follow through. If you were raised in a home that someone ruled the roost that was always negative, well, I wouldn't do that. Well, I wouldn't do that. Well, that's a terrible idea. If you had that kind of naysayer in your formative years, sometimes in your adult years, you will surround yourself with that same personality trying to get a different outcome. If you have a group of friends and there's one person in there and you go, well, they're just really honest with me. They'll tell me the truth. And the truth doesn't mean always bad. The truth doesn't mean always negative. The truth can sometimes mean, well, it always means the truth. The truth is, I think you can do that. I think you can try that. Yes, you will come again. You might find some opposition, but if this is your passion project, you should try it. Before you leave this planet, you should try at least one of your passion projects.
Absolutely. And before you use the word can't all the time, consider that the T on can't stands for tripping you up. It stands for, trouble. It stands for, the turbulence. It stands for the trepidation. It stands for all of the things that are like, I just can't. And then shorten that a little bit. You can if you want to. And so when you hear yourself saying, I just can't, question whether or not it's a priority right now. If it's not a priority right now in this moment, then take it off the list right now in this moment. Instead of telling yourself over and over and over, I can't, ask yourself, is it a priority? And if it is a priority, then be willing to change your vernacular around that so that you are allowing yourself to actually do and to be present. And if you don't want to do it, then absolutely, you don't have to do it.
I love this. Yes, I am going to learn to play the violin. I've put it down for 2 years. I sucked at it, but I am going to take lessons again and do it. And yes, you will, Corinne.
That's right. And you don't have to suck at it. You just maybe aren't that experienced at it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you, if you played it if you played it and put it down and you think you suck at it, I've never touched one. So Katie, bar the door if I picked one up, because it would be, your ears would probably bleed. But you know what? If you enjoy doing it, that's like the little kid that's learning to play the instrument and they are in their bedroom and they are belting that tuba or that flute or that trombone. They are belting it out and it is screeching and scratching and the parents are in the other room going, oh my gosh. But if you go to the room and you find out that child has been supported, they're so excited to be off note, just to be playing the instrument. But if they have parents who are like, get better, get better, get better, get better, then they will self-judge themselves and they won't enjoy it.
You're exactly right. Elizabeth says we can't if we say we can't. The old phrase, if you say you can't, you won't, and then, but if I decide I can, I will give it an honest try. And Mona joins us now. And Corinne says, we can play together, Teri. I love that.
Yes.
Dr. Janet Childs was my mobile vet for many, many years. And she decided to retire. But one of the things she says, you know what I'm doing this weekend? And I said, what? And she's so excited. She looked like a little kid. She says, I'm going to go play in the banjo circle. I said, you play the banjo? She says, not very well. But I'm going to go in there. And she goes, but every time I pick it up, I get a little bit better. I learn something new. And she would go and she'd do these banjo circles down at the Fiddle and Pick. And they'd all sit around. And she says, I just picked it up one day. I said, I always want to play the banjo. And I love that. It's not just about music. It's about everything. And I always say, if you look around your friends list, your family list, the people that you tell your innermost dreams to, do you have a cheerleader? Do you have a facilitator? Do you have a comforter in that group? Most people surround themselves with someone that is, first of all, the person who will be there. That a lot of people have an editor in their group. I always say, you sit in a room to write with a songwriter or something. There's always the editor. They don't come up with any ideas. They just tell you why you're suck. And they aren't afraid to say that. It's just like, I don't have room in my life for an editor, Teri. I just don't. I'm at the point now where I go, if that's who you are, if you don't have something to add, leave.
Or anytime somebody starts a sentence with, I'm just telling you this for your own good.
I hope you don't take offense at this.
Yeah, please don't take this personal, but that is someone who is, maybe it's unconsciously, but that is someone who is really trying an angle to bust your bubble. And, we're so good at busting our own bubbles. We don't need people in our circle to bust our bubbles. We just don't.
Oh, and if you have that person that is so convinced that they need to tell you why your idea won't work, look into their past. Was it something they tried and wanted to do, but for some reason they quit? They got scared. They failed at in their mind. They just quit. They didn't do it. So therefore, they can't have you succeed at something that they didn't. continue
Well,
on. Jealousy is a cruel thing that comes up in even the best relationships if you don't keep it tamped down.
yeah, I mean, and you also have to know who's in your circle. I work with people who, not clients, but other colleagues they're quick to tell me what I need to be doing different, how I need to alter my prices to charge more, how I need to do this, how I need to do that. And if I just did this, I'd be more successful. And if I would take these clients on, I'd be more successful. And I'm very quick to thank them for their input and let them know that, I will ask them oftentimes, like, well, how many clients do you have? How many clients do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they will say, well, I'm taking a break right now.
Or, none.
Or I've got 3, and while I can appreciate where they're coming from, they're telling me how to make beef stroganoff, and I'm a vegetarian. Like, I'm not buying what they're selling, because if they're afraid to be successful in their own right, whatever that looks like,
mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that they have any useful information for me. I would tell you and they may have some, but it's not going to be on telling me how to run my practice.
Mm-hmm.
That it does very well on its own. So I don't, that's okay. I will say this, one of the things for people who doubt themselves frequently, I know that there are some people that don't drink. There's some people that think they can't paint, but I think when they came up with the sip and stroke concept, mm-hmm. where you had a picture at the front of the room and people would come and follow the artist, and some people will sit back there and do checkerboard all over their things because they just don't think they can paint it. But there are so many people that I know and I know Susanna's done this several times with her daughter Tyann, and there's several people that have done the sips and strokes, and they're so proud when they walk away. I've seen people that are so proud of the artwork that they've done, and if you'd ever put the picture in front of them,
I got them right behind me.
If you ever just put the picture in front of them and said, paint this, they would go, oh, Jiminy Crickets, I don't think I can do that. But if you put them in a room with other people who are also doing the same thing, and it's not a competition, it's fun, it's light, it's encouraging, then you will be amazed at what you can actually create. Mm-hmm. We are such creative beings. Even the people who say, I can't carry a tune and I can't do this and I can't do that. The only reason you can't is because you're limiting yourself by saying you can't. When I hear people ask me all the time, can you sing? Yeah, I can sing. Am I a CMA ready? No, I'm not. Do I sing well? Well, I guess that depends on who you're asking. My dog Jack doesn't seem to mind, and I don't seem to mind. But no, that's not. I am not an artist by singing, but yeah, I can sing. When people say, well, I can't do a marathon, I can't run. It's like, well, can you walk? Can you jog and walk? Like, you don't have to do a marathon, but don't say you can't run. I mean, if somebody was chasing you, would you run? If a car was about to run you down, would you run? Yeah, we can do these things. Mm-hmm. We just tell ourselves right out of the bat from autopilot, I can't, and can't never could.
And will never would.
Right.
That's you just think about it. And I encourage you to look at your friends group, look at the people that surround you. And if you have an editor, replace that with a cheerleader. If you have a for your own good person who always tells you something awful, but I'm just being honest, replace that with a facilitator. Someone says, well, have you thought of it this way? Maybe you could do it this way. You're really good about that, Teri. Well, have you thought about trying it? Maybe let's take a little bit to the left, and let's have you looked at this possibility? Take the critic and replace that with your comforter. Because always consider the source of the person offering advice. Are they doing something amazing with their life? Are they happy? Are they joyful? Or are they in a bad mood all of the time and trying to bring you to what they are? You have to remember, who do you surround yourself with? That's a big part of follow through.
Yeah. Are they living in integrity, or are they masking for half of the people that they talk to and hang out with? And then the other side, they take the mask off and it's like not real pretty. That's someone who's not living with integrity. They're not living inside integrity. And also I will say this, when you're consciously replacing your naysayer with your, your supporter, and you're this with your this and you're this and this, also look at their resumes. Like, be very clear and very real with yourself. Look at their resume. And what I mean by that is, if you're looking for a cheerleader, make sure you're not getting a cheerleader codependent enabler combo.
Oh, right. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Someone who's going to cheer, but it's also going to hold you accountable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's real easy to replace the negative with the extreme. But you've got to make sure that there's a good balance there, because you want that person that's going to go, I love you, but I'm going to tell you.
Then absolutely. Now the truth in love is different. I'm not talking about the truth in love. Mona can always say, you have hay in your hair. You're about to do a TV show. Let me pull this hay out your hair, because I have a tendency to be all dressed to go somewhere and go, let me just throw out a little hay before I leave. And I'll end up someplace with hay, or I have sat in something or whatever. And you need that person who look out for you. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the cheerleader who says, hey, if you've always wanted to learn how to fly an airplane, I'm in your boat.
Right.
I may not get in there on those first couple of lessons. I'm just saying, but
right.
I cheer you on.
I mean, don't ask me to get in it right off the bat.
Yeah, I might have those little flashlights down on the ground, but
right, absolutely.
Elizabeth says, I can sing, but your ears will bleed. I still sing around the house regularly. It's all good. And closes with, the older I get, the more discerning I find myself when it comes to friends. That's so good. Well, there's been so many people joining us. We're going to pull things in. If you want to send me a message about a topic, Devon O'Day at gmail.com. And Teri, take it away.
Well, as always, we just, to sound like a broken record, we always appreciate you, each and every one, choosing to spend your midday or your morning or your afternoon, wherever you are in the world, with us and share with us and give your 2 cents and engage and have that feedback, because we do what we do because we love doing it, but because you're here with us, it just makes it that much sweeter. And so as you're going through this next full month of this new calendar year, do a little assessment on where you are, where you want to be, and also be mindful of how many times you catch yourself with limiting thoughts or sarcastic thoughts or words, or limiting things that you're putting someone else down, or how many times you're lifting someone else up. Just start to train your brain to be a healthier, more educated, aware version of yourself. Because when you do that, we all benefit. When I do that, we all benefit. When Devon does that, we all benefit. No one benefits by tearing other people down. And the world just needs all of our light and our love right now. And so I don't mean you don't want to throat punch a person every once in a while, but it means the overriding is going to be who you are at your core. So
Chris says, go us.
Go us. Yes. And so as you go through the rest of your beautiful week, I hope that you do increase your peace, and we will see you next Wednesday. With or without bells on, we'll be here.
I got a couple of bells. I might just hang them up behind me if I don't have the energy.